Hi friends! Today on Asian Food Nerd, the business behind food brands, we reveal the inspirational story of Frank Mars. He endured bankruptcy 3 times, a lover that left him due to his financial troubles, and had a falling out with his very own son. Now that is candy entrepreneur drama. Each failure got him closer to creating the Mars Company as a multi-billion global company which includes candy, gum, and pet products. Mars Inc. expanded beyond chocolate to gum in 2008 when it paid $23 billion for the Wrigley Jr. company, and it paid $2.9 billion for Iams and 2 other pet food brands from Procter Gamble in 2014. The $35 billion company is the country's 5th largest private company, and Fortune magazine has named it the best place to work. Stay tuned to the end when we share 3 tips that can help you be the next candy global brand. Frank Mars is an example of an entrepreneur that displayed resilience despite multiple failures in his personal and professional life. Thankfully, he didn't give up. Now, we can rely on his sweet treats to brighten our days. According to Business Insider in 2021, the Mars family is now America's 3rd wealthiest family dynasty with a net worth of $96 billion. It was 1883. Frank was born as a small child in the town of Newport, Minnesota. He contracted polio, a highly contagious disease that can cause paralysis, respiratory difficulties, and even death. Frank was fortunate to live, but the battle left him permanently crippled. He spent most of his time observing his mother make fresh chocolates, which was a tough and time-consuming operation. He grew addicted to the craft of making candy and began creating his sweet delights. During high school, he had a great idea of selling bulk candy to businesses in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. Shortly after, he settled down as a family man and married a woman named Ethel. Months later, and they have their first son. Frank started to make a solid living selling candy. Just like in a blink of an eye, Frank's lucrative business turned downhill when the Hershey bar was introduced. The candy market became oversaturated. Several candy companies popped up, and Frank was forced to declare bankruptcy. Ethel left Frank and went to live with her parents in Canada as Frank tried to provide for his family. After that, Frank relocated to Seattle, Washington to open a business, and soon after, he married another woman named Ethel. What are the chances, right? So, he packed his belongings and drove 30 miles to Tacoma, where he tried his luck again. After settling in Tacoma, Frank began making buttercream candy in his kitchen to supplement his income. Brown and Haley, a well-established confectionery company, was destroying Frank's business. After a few years, history repeated itself, and Frank was unable to keep up with the competition, eventually declaring bankruptcy. He eventually opted to return to his native state of Minnesota. He had $400 remaining in his account. Frank was even more committed to reaching his dreams, so kept developing his sweet treats and his 1-bedroom apartment. Every day at 3 a.m., he worked on creating the best chocolate and was determined to create a comeback. He planned on making them so Ethel could sell them. Slowly prepared from scratch, they were able to reestablish themselves and even purchase a home. Meanwhile, Frank's son Forrest was in the United States, studying industrial engineering at Berkeley and then Yale. He began working for them as a traveling salesperson during his summer vacation. He ended up in jail one night in Chicago after plastering posters on lampposts, businesses, and cars. Fortunately, Frank came to his rescue, and even though they hadn't spoken in years, the two decided to reconnect at a soda stand. Forrest gazed down at his glass and told Frank about a clever idea. Why not put a malted drink inside a candy bar? Frank was attracted by the concept and began experimenting with the idea and named it the Milky Way. Whipped egg, whites, and sugar syrup were used. It offered him an immediate competitive advantage over his rivals. People were hooked since the new candy concept was bigger in size, yet less expensive to make. Now, surprisingly, sales rocketed within a year. With his son's support, Frank's business, now known as the Mars Company, grew 10 times, raking in approximately $11 million in today's currency. Frank was starting to make a name for himself. Did he realize this was only the beginning? Just 6 years after the Milky Way was launched, Frank was back on his feet. By the time Forrest graduated from Yale and joined the family firm, Frank had constructed a production factory in Chicago. He worked at the factory and oversaw the creation of new products. The Mars Corporation launched the Snickers bar a year later, and the Three Musketeers' combined annual sales reached $24 million. Then, Frank proposed a deal to his son. Frank offered Forrest $50,000 in cash and the international rights to the Milky Way. Frank told his very own son that the company was not big enough for them both and suggested Forrest to move to another country and create his own company. Forrest accepted his father's proposal, packed his belongings, and relocated to Switzerland. He worked on the production lines for Nestle and Tobler. He learned how to manufacture high-quality European-style sweets. Afterwards, he relocated to England, where he, like Frank, lived in a one-bedroom apartment to save money while testing new items. Despite his Ivy-level education and hands-on experience, some of his early creations were flops, such as a pineapple chocolate bar. But, just like his father, Forrest had grit and thirst for global success. Forrest eventually came up with the correct mix to develop a sweeter version of the Milky Way. People became hooked on Mars bars, and sales in Europe outperformed the Milky Way. Finally, Forrest proved to his father that he too can succeed on top of the candy mountain. Forrest had an eye to identify the next big candy thing. Forrest traveled to Spain in the 1930s, where he encountered a group of troops eating chocolate-coated sugar pellets. He instantly discovered that the chocolate was not melting due to the sugar coating. He had never seen such a simple and brilliant notion before, and he knew it would become the now-famed M&Ms. He made a contract with Bruce Murray, the son of Hershey's corporate president, who was an unusual partner. Because World War II had just started, there was a scarcity of cocoa at the time. So, Forrest asked Bruce if he could provide the chocolate to help him realize his empire. It was given the name M&Ms, which stood for Mars and Murray, and it quickly became one of the most popular sweets on the planet. Forrest created food manufacturer, and he grew into a multinational corporation that pioneered the pet food sector and introduced Uncle Ben's rice. Frank sadly never got the chance to see his accomplishment or restore the relationship because he died. And now comes the family drama. In his will, when he was just 50 years old, he named Ethel, Forrest's stepmother, as the company's president. Ethel was more concerned with operating her horse racing stable. As a result, she delegated management to her half-brother, William Kruppenbacher. Sadly, 2 years later on Christmas Day, Ethel passed away. She left Forrest a third of the company and another to his half-sister, Patricia. Forrest tried to persuade Patricia that under his management, more profit could be made. But William persuaded her that remaining loyal to him was more crucial. She became the company's chairman and president under Williams. Williams set up a method for access to the Mars factory, but Forrest was denied entry. This did not deter Forrest from persevering in his efforts to generate more revenue for the company. However, the board frequently rejected his suggestions. Even worse, after William retired and Forrest was fired for the third time, Patricia's husband, James Fleming, became president and CEO, and the corporation cut corners on pricey ingredients under his leadership. Customers became aware of the situation, and profits dropped. Forrest was already a billionaire, with sales of around $1.4 billion. While the Mars Corporation was making an estimated $350 million, Forrest could not sit by and let it all go south. So, he persuaded Patricia and the other shareholders to sell their shares to him in exchange for him merging food manufacturer with the Mars Company. Under his guidance, Forrest became chairman, president, and CEO of the Mars firm after 30 years. Would you fight that long to finally be the head of the company your father started? He altered the company's operations and culture. He eliminated the executive dining room, the corporate helicopter, and anything else deemed unnecessary. By 1978, the Mars Corporation had grown to an estimated $7.2 billion in sales and had surpassed Hershey's as the leading brand. Most importantly, he increased the salaries of each worker by 30%. Forrest became one of America's wealthiest men and was designated one of Fortune magazine's most talented entrepreneurs. Snickers, Twix, M&M's, Pedigree, Extra, and Dove soap are among the 11 billion brands owned by Mars, which is currently worth almost $90 billion. Thanks for taking the time to stay with us till the end. 3 things we learned. Number 1, know that failing is part of the path to success. But he just never gave up. His first love, Ethel, left him, but he stayed focused toward his dream. He faced bankruptcy a few times, but he kept going. Number 2, be observant. Forrest noticed that a sugar coating prevented chocolate from melting, so this was the start of M&M's. Number 3, there is no overnight success. It took Frank 30 years to finally gain control of the company his father started. But take steps every day toward your goals. Thanks for joining us today. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for our next video. Please also leave in the comment section which food brands you would like us to cover next. Asian Food Nerd, the business behind food brands.